Hey guys, welcome to the losers match of NATA MSL Group A. We have Light going up against Calm. And honestly, I got to favor Calm on this. He's just been playing spectacular against Terran recently. And just overall, I feel like that's actually been the difference in his level of play. Is he's just really picked it up against Terran. I feel like he's, especially with that late game Hydralisk mix-up when he pushes that in there, he's just really great. Had a little bit of a losing streak, but prior to that, I think he won something like 7 straight versus his last Terran. He's been doing exceptionally well against Protoss, of course, just because of the matchup there. And of course, he's just had Calm style Zerg, which has been altogether really fantastic. I'm kind of hoping to see him advance just because I really like Calm and I don't like Light as much as I've already said. Light is going to be starting in the upper left hand corner as a blue Terran, bottom right hand corner we have Calm as the white Zerg. And this is once again going to be on Ultimatum, which Terran versus Zerg, I expect it to play a lot like Zodiac, so which might open up some mid-game. I really liked the way that Hogil, actually, way back in the day, played Zodiac, which is he went for early Hydralisk drops, basically took 3 expansions very early with those drops and kind of played game from there. And I think especially with kind of the Defiler Hydralisk swarm thing that's been going on recently, I kind of want to see that with drops mixed in. I think that would be kind of cool to see. I don't know how viable that is, but I think it'll be really interesting to see. I think Calm's a clever player, so at the very least, I expect to see a clever build out of him in this match. Anyway, once again, did all these live. I've got a big crowd. 4chan had a post actually, so shout out to all the 4chan people who are watching this. Special thanks to Joe of Joe.tu once again, and yeah, you can, if you keep an eye on Twitter or IRC, Joe.tu or SC2GG IRC. Usually I'll announce it there ahead of time. I'm not sure why I didn't this time. I guess it's because I'm a jerk. And interestingly enough, just going to leave that SCV out in the field. But we'll see what Light's up to. Again, I predict Light will just go. I think his strongest matchup actually is versus Zerg. And I think he is a very strong player. You have to beat Light versus Zerg. You can't just expect a win against his TVZ. But at the same time, I think Calm is up to the challenge and a very strong player in that regard. And it looks like he's sending out another drone for scouting purposes. He looks like he opened up with a 12 hatch. Got that barracks just kind of sealing off the front door. The one problem for this map with Zerg versus Terran is, again, it's a very easy to protect secondary. But beyond that third base, if you can kind of weather the storm, I feel like that additional base is somewhat exposed for Terran unless they're going drop themselves, which Terran tend not to really mix that in unless they're kind of trying to be sneaky or trying to get a quick advantage, where on a map like Outsider it's absolutely necessary. On a map like this, not as necessary. And come to think about it, I'm kind of curious, this map just feels a lot like Zodiac. I'm wondering if they just had it completely in mind. It even has the same tile set. I mean, the interior, instead of having an absolutely wide open interior and having the natural secondary or the mineral only across the 6 o'clock protected by a ramp, I feel like that's the kind of the slight difference. But otherwise, it's really reminiscent. So anyway, and I expect it to play similarly. Interestingly enough, looks like that side disruptor being shot down to provide a little bit of movement help. For kind of curious why they decided to put that side disruptor there in general. Maybe just to mess with people's heads, mess with Terran. And it looks like Light's already got that single Rasen expansion going and grabbing an additional gas. So it looks like he's going to push tech a little bit here before putting those additional barracks down. Not too concerned, it looks like, about harass, especially at these distances. He should be able to get away with it pretty easily, and it looks like he's already gotten a pretty good spot in Calm space, mostly unopposed. And it looks like, thus far at least, he's looking at a 3-hatch into layer tech build, so he's got some time to work with. And yeah, I'm kind of curious why he feels it's so important to open up that front door. I guess the main reason is once that Mutalisk harass does come, he's got to worry about mobility with those Marines, so it's kind of vital for the Terran to open that up at least a little bit to move those Marines back and forth. And so it looks like that's what he's predicting Calm to play, but I wouldn't be surprised if Calm instead, played a little bit more passively, a little bit more expansion hungry, and forced Light to come to him again with kind of that drop play. And we'll see what he decides to do out here in the mix. It looks like he. There, I said it again. Gonna have to work on that in the mix talk. Factory being planted to provide. Looks like I think we're going to see a pretty quick shift into science vessels to try to deal with those Mutalisks early on to get that irradiate out as quickly as possible. But otherwise, Light's actually playing very vulnerable because he's going to be extremely Marine light. He's going to be very low on Marines to start here. It's going to pay off for him, though, because also at the cross-map positions, keep in mind that Overlords haven't been in position to really get a good look at here. And also, Calm hasn't been able to get a scout in at all. And dual starports. That is not what I predicted. I expected to see Yeah, interesting. So we're going to see dual starports and this almost feels like it's a little bit late because of the amount of Marines that were produced there. But and this is almost never. Wow. So maybe Light's woken up and he's broken the code and figured out kind of his transitionary game. But going for dual starports, I assume to produce some Wraith to fight off those Mutalisks early, and he can immediately transition to that into very heavy Science Vessel play into the mid game. And 3 starports. Wow. Yeah, you can hear the Korean commentators saying the exact same thing. So he's going to heads up try to skull bash Calm and be like, I can out micro you heads up, Mutalisks versus whatever, or Hydralisks versus whatever. And yeah, it looks like it's going to be Mutalisks versus Wraith. And let's see how quickly Calm gets that. Critically, he's going to need that speed upgrade. But yeah, Light is basically going to try to win this game on Wraith alone. And out of all the players expected to pull this, 4GG maybe, never did I expect Light to try to pull this off. Let's see if I think Calm might just be completely flabbergasted, just completely taken off surprise against this play. Usually it's him that's kind of pulling the shifty, sneaky sort of thing, and right now he's completely in the dark until that first group of Wraith pour out. I don't think he's going to see this coming, because first of all, it's coming on a decent delay, and on top of it, yeah, it's just kind of crazy. It's possible we'll see some Valkyries actually. But with the Valkyrie supported armory, I would expect to see more medic marines dedicated underneath. I think we are just going to see nothing but Wraith. And with that first, and critically, I guess Scourge are going to be the big kind of question is how many Scourge will land. And Calm getting a Queen's Nest, it looks like he's going to try to tech quickly. I think he's going to regret that a little bit. I think he's going to, in retrospect, want to have used that gas a little bit more rapidly to get that speed upgrade once again, because those Wraith are going to be able to pin those Mutalisks back out in the field. That base in the upper rank going to be exposed unless he gets an Evolution Chamber, and that'll really be the key here, is if Calm can get an Evolution Chamber out as quickly as possible. These Mutalisks going to run in. They're going to see, well, let's see if it comes out in time. Going to see a lot of this. Let's see if he sees the 3 starports. There sees the 3 starports, and now how does Calm decide to react? Still running in with a lot of these Mutalisks, and still a very exposed field, keep in mind. He's not going to be able to stay there very long because of that cloaking. But interestingly enough, this is the thing though, is Light, even though he's able to push this off with the cloak, looks like he's already got that Evolution Chamber down to pursue some other upgrades. And I think he would be best off now just putting down a creep colony at each field. Looks like he's going to get a Hydralisk Den down instead. I feel like Korean players on the professional level can be greedy. They're like, oh, I don't want to spend that single drone to have the latent detection protecting my lines anywhere. When really, I think at this stage, just one at his main, one at that expansion could very well win the game, because then he doesn't have to worry about bringing his Mutalisks to deal with absolutely everything. He can deal with fewer Hydralisks, doesn't have to protect his Overlords as much. Again, I think it would be worth a couple of drones, especially because Light's economy is going to be really, really tanked as a result of this. I mean, he's got to do immense damage to deal with this, and it looks like Calm instead pushing some Overlords. He's going to try to get some sort of Overlord spread. Looks like he's spreading to the wrong direction, though. That single Overlord's going to get wiped out at the main very rapidly. And again, the Overlord's just moving so slowly, it's going to be difficult to get more detection aside from new Overlords popping out.